Hey, welcome back. After a week break last week, a couple of us were traveling, but we have TML Weekly Season 2, Episode 5. Lots to talk about. We're going to get through it here. We're missing our buddy Nolan tonight. He's traveling back from a little holiday. Must be nice, hey, John? Kids
Global traveler, eh?
wherever they want, right?
No
Wherever they want.
kids. No kids. They can just go wherever they want.
I think he's actually in Monte Carlo at some big casino event or something. I don't know.
You know what? He looked good. He had the suit on. He was rolling the dice down the table.
Crazy. These kids these days, man. I don't get it. Anyway, we're here to talk about the Leafs. Thanks to our sponsors, Bjorn Hockey and Don Cherry Sports Grill, as always. So we haven't been on since before the Kings game. So they beat LA handily, expected. Give you my take and on this stretch. Again, you said it in the chat last night. It's early. I've seen a lot of good things. I've seen some things that are concerning. The Rangers loss. I thought Toronto was a better hockey team. I really did. There's a reason Shesterkin's going to hold out for 12 or 13 million, and he's going to get it somewhere.
Yeah, and get it.
I mean, he stood on his head that night. They had a lot of good looks and couldn't beat him. Then, of course, you beat Tampa. That's a big momentum game. Anything in that top of the division with the Floridas and the Bostons and the Tampas are going to be real good games, but also defining games because you're going to play one of those guys in the playoffs, right? Yeah. Or two, right? That's the way it's going to be. That's a good win. Columbus loss, had a bad start. It is what it is. I like the Columbus team this year. I think, after losing Johnny Gaudreau, I think the players have really rallied, and they're playing an inspired game, which is nice to see for that organization. St. Louis, that's a tough one, but they're not a bad hockey team either, and they're playing against their former head coach that maybe would have sat some guys, or maybe we don't know, what the vibe was when Chief left St. Louis. So, there's some money on the board in those ones too. Boston, I thought, they hung around. I thought it was a good hockey game. I really enjoyed the physicality. I thought both teams, go hard. And then I saw, Boston kind of take control. And then it's like, oh, shit, here we go. But, they responded. Austin, big one with. And then, the giveaway in overtime, whatever. The only thing I can say about that, and you know what, I've said it all along, it's a game of mistakes. You can't define a player on one play. First of all, if he doesn't score with however many seconds left to tie it up, they're not even in that spot anyway. And then you got other people that could argue that, when Austin looked up towards the bench, Mitch was coming back, right? He was coming back, and then
100%
him kind of, and then they're gassed, man. They played about
7 hours that game.
Yeah, tons. Right at the end, they were on for 3 or 4 minutes, and then overtime they were out 3 times. So it was a tough one. The only thing that I will say about it is, had that been Mitch Marner, and we've talked about this, had Mitch Marner done the exact, so just reverse them. Austin's out there, he's coming back, he's like, man, I got to get off. Off he goes, right? Mitch rims it around, it hits Pasta, comes back in, ends up in the back of the net. Mitch would be run out of town again. Like, that's the difference in this market.
One guy scored 70 goals.
I get it, but the other guys, the other guy can play too.
The other guy's got 1 this season.
Yeah, he's still leading them in scoring, though, isn't he?
Great. You
is
got
he
one
a trigger guy, or is he?
Hold on. You saw the Boston game, right? Where he had the empty net, and he passed, right?
There you go, defining a player on one play.
If it was one time, it would not be a problem. It's a regular occurrence. Why do you think our power play is where it is? Our power play is where it is because you don't worry about Mitch Marner shooting the puck ever. He's got the Thomas Caberlet no shot clause in his contract. You just won't shoot the puck ever.
You can move it. Yeah, no, for sure. And there's been times over his 8 or 9 year NHL career, it's come to the media, and whether it was Keefe or, Babs before him, where they've said, we want Mitch to shoot the puck a little bit more. And then all of a sudden Mitch is, he goes on a little bit of a tear, and maybe that'll happen. We'll see. We'll see. I think their power player is going to be fine. There's enough talent there. They're moving some guys around and trying, a defenseman here and a defenseman there. It's not rocket science, right? There's not very many ways that you can run a power play in the NHL anymore. You got an umbrella. You got the key is that bumper.
Listen, what do Grapes always say? Put the puck on the net and good things happen. I still haven't seen that be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? 1980, 2020, it doesn't matter. You cannot score pushing the puck around for 3.5 minutes, waiting for the perfect tic-tac-toe to go in the net. Shoot the puck on goal.
I think you got to move it around because you got to give you got to get the goal. The goaltenders are so good now compared to when Grapes was coaching. They're 3 times the size, right? With gear and size. So that first shot that was going in 1976 isn't going in anymore ever, right? You need traffic there. You got to have that right. You got to move the goalie laterally. You got to.
If Samsonov's in net, it might be going in. If we're being honest, if we're being honest, Samsonov maybe. Okay, so listen, I got to say something because this has been. I've taken a ridiculous amount of heat this week, in the past week, for my opinion on where we are right now. And if you've been watching us over the past year, or followed us online for a while, you'll know I have less than zero problem calling this team out when I don't think they're doing things right, whether it's effort, whether it's quality of play. I have no problem doing it. Everybody's got to relax in Leafland. We got to relax. We had a bad last week against Columbus and a bad last week game against St. Louis. I just want to remind everybody, the Columbus game, 3rd game in 5 nights. The St. Louis game, 4th game in 6 nights. Take a look. Do yourselves a favor. Don't listen to me. Take a look at the win percentage of not just NHL teams, major league, like professional sports teams, on the 3rd game in 5 or the 4th game in 6 nights. There's a reason Vegas makes the odds the way they do. We are significantly closer to the team that you saw last night in Winnipeg and the team we saw to start the season than we are the tired team that you saw against Columbus and St. Louis. So I know it's shocking coming from me saying everybody's got to relax. We're going to be okay. Everybody's got to relax. We're in good shape.
100-point team. It's a 100-point team.
John, we're like, me. I have no problem. I have no problem pushing the button if I think the button needs to be pushed. I think right now, from what I've seen, even in the Boston game, listen, that Boston first period was ugly. That was a terrible start to the game. We didn't get our first shot till 11 minutes had gone in the game. The second period looked like a completely different team. You got to let them get back to a comfortable spot. I think. I'm okay with where we are. I'm completely comfortable. I'm not pushing the panic button at all. I think if you are pushing the panic button, press pause. Everything's going to be okay. We're all right. Stolarz he's come back to earth a little bit, but been all world so far. And for those people that are all over Justin Wall or Joseph Wall, I keep calling him. I've called him Justin Wall for like every season we've been on.
I know why.
Why?
I know why.
Why?
We who your Canadian male artist is, and you have him in your head a little bit, Justin Bieber. So that's where.
Oh, well, yeah, clearly, yeah. There you go. You hit the nail on the head. But listen, if you're being critical of Joseph Wall, all I want to say to you is this: he's played 2 periods of preseason hockey. That's it. Practiced for about 4 days, and then got thrown into an NHL game, and looked like a goalie who's played 2 periods of preseason hockey, practiced for 3 days. Don't be surprised by what you've seen. Okay, you're going
to need him. You're going to need him.
100%.
Right? Stolarz is going to stumble. Injury bug, flu bug. Something's going to happen where, and guess what? Now Wall has surpassed and jumped over Hildeby, in my opinion. He's back where we thought they'd be. 1A. I never gave this to Wall at the beginning when Stolarz came in. I said, hey, right, Wall will get it if he's going to get the first opportunity, right? But we're going to see who can win and who can stay healthy and things like that. But
100%.
I think he's next up for sure.
Listen, I agree. I'm just saying, if you've been online this week, Joseph Wall has taken a redonkulous amount of abuse, and all I'm saying is recognize where he is in the progression of his season. He effectively missed all of training camp. Didn't get to practice. This is he's effectively in preseason mode right now. So you have to acknowledge that as part of the game. The fact that he got thrown into a game where a team was playing their 5th game or 4th game in 6 nights, that team was exhausted in front of him, and he was hung out to dry, just like they hung out Hildeby the night before. Right? You were hoping, as the coach, Hildeby was going to steal a game and Wall was going to come out and catch fire. That's what you were hoping for. You didn't get it, but it's not the fault of either goalie. It is all I'm saying there. And again, if you think I'm being soft on this team, I promise you, give me time. But I'm not worried about anything that I've seen to date.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's early and there's lots going on. Look.
Sorry, Johnny. I think you're freezing up.
Am I freezing up at all, John?
You're freezing up big time. So let's while we wait for Johnny to click it. Oh, there you go. You're back now. One guy I think that we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about is the dramatic fall of your favorite player, Nick Robertson. Nicky R looked like for
dramatic fall. What do you mean dramatic fall? He had a game in the preseason playing against America.
Listen, he looked like he was going to win the scoring title.
Shouldn't be there.
Yeah, you've said that to be very fair. You've said it for a long time. John. I'll give you the floor. You've said it for a long time.
He can't play. I don't think he can play at this level. Certainly not on this team. If somebody's got top 6 minutes for him, maybe he can produce, but he's a liability away from the puck, right? If you can score a goal every 2 or 3 games, that's going to help you stay in the lineup, but he hasn't. The bottom 6 has been honestly horrendous as far as point production. There's been some good games by them for sure, and handling matchups. But I think Reeves has been underwhelming. I said that to you in the group chat last night.
100%.
Ryan Reeves's presence isn't enough in the new NHL, and he has presence for sure, but he's not fighting, which is okay. I fight when you need to, fight when you.
It's not okay.
I'm okay with that.
I'm gonna throw a flag on that play.
Why?
That's not okay. Ryan Reeves is not in the NHL because Ryan Reeves is a good energy guy. Ryan Reeves is in the NHL so he can take care of business. And if Ryan Reeves is not, I'll be honest, if Ryan Reeves is not fighting, I don't understand why Ryan Reeves is on the team.
Well, he's got to play better.
But John, he can't. That's the whole point. Ryan Reeves is in the league because
that's what's happening right now. And look at Rempe. Okay, you got
Rempe's in the
Rempe,
minors.
who's 15 years younger than Reeves, bigger, right? Skates better, maybe, arguably.
Bit of a head case though. Like
he's done. He's down below, same kind of thing, right? These guys are a liability. Check guys in and out of the lineup. If you
he's
talk
going to get
Montreal,
moved. I've heard he's going to get moved out of Montreal.
Yeah. He called out, said something to St. Louis, something like that. At the end of the day, he's a clown too. He can't play. He's not an NHL. He's an 8 or 9 on a playoff hockey team. Oh, okay, you can fight. Well, who are you going to fight, right? Who are you going to fight? You played Reeves already. You didn't fight him. He didn't fight you. I don't know how that, could be a thing. So you're right. These guys, if they want to, their presence isn't enough. People aren't scared. People aren't gonna maybe take a liberty or take an extra shot on Matthews after a whistle or whatever because Ryan Reeves is playing 4 minutes or Matt Rempe is playing 4 minutes. The game has changed. I love the physicality.
Me too.
I love the tough game, right?
Me too.
But, so I would rather see Fraser Minton. I think he's pretty close, if not ready. I'd rather see him in for Reeves. Robertson's going to get moved in this Liljegren trade.
Well, listen. We've been saying since that contract was signed that Liljegren's got to go. The interesting thing here is though, what is it that Berube has not seen or has seen in Liljegren that allows Philip Myers to be in the lineup over him? Like you're talking, like, listen, whether you love Liljegren's game or hate Liljegren's game, and there's people on both ends of the spectrum here, but wherever you sit in the Timmy spectrum, he's been an NHL player for the better part of 3.5 years.
Maybe more, I think closer to 5.
Yeah, but like a legit player where he's in the lineup and like a relative player on the team consistently.
Yeah.
For him to have completely fallen out of the rotation is beyond, I don't want to call it beyond shocking, but it's pretty shocking. And I wonder, like if you're Berube, like there's got to be more to it.
Yeah, Timmy Liljegren almost doesn't have an identity. When Timmy Liljegren was drafted and he came up, he was going to be the heir to Morgan Riley.
Yeah, you're right.
Moving first power play D-man, has some offensive upside. Right, not going to give you whole physically, but is in good position.
Well, you didn't need that from him,
right? But here's what happened. He didn't turn into even close to Morgan Riley offensively. He's shown it in spurts over his career. There's been, 2 or 3 game stretches where we're going, oh my God, this kid is going to be unreal, right? But
and then he forgets how to play hockey for 3 weeks.
And when you play kind of the way with what Tim Liljegren brings to the table offensively, which isn't very much. Right? He better be heavy. He better be physical. He better be able to chew up minutes and play against top lines, or there's not going to be a spot for him. He doesn't know who he is. Timmy Liljegren needs to, when he gets traded, and that when I say when, because he is getting traded, and I personally believe there is right now, and there's going to be somewhat of a bidding war for Timothy Liljegren, because, like I just said, he's got most of the tools, right? If he's given an opportunity, I thought Rasmus Sandin moving to Washington rejuvenated him. He was in the same boat, right? He was kind of, similar player.
I mean, Sandin started off hot in Montreal, but then ended up in Washington. Started off hot in Washington, but then was a non-factor.
Right.
So, I mean, listen,
and that could be the case with Liljegren too. And Liljegren's going to go wherever he's going to go and have something to prove. But then after they prove it, it's staying in the league. And then we talked about on the last show, a guy like Luke Shen is a perfect example of that, right? Luke was being he was done, right? Toronto, in my opinion, hurt him by bringing him to the National Hockey League at 18 as a defenseman and putting the pressure on him of, another Sask boy, Wendell Clark, and all these comparisons. He's fighting 30-year-olds when he's 18 and playing way too many minutes and being put into positions not to succeed but to fail. But he ended up in Philly, and then
LA, and then Vancouver, and bounced around.
Phoenix. Yeah. So he ends up, now he's a very useful player, right? These guys still have that. Liljegren and Sandin, for that matter, if put in the right opportunity. And sometimes it's having that connection with the coach that, it's pretty. We can't live in an NHL player, especially an NHL player in Toronto shoes. How you keep motivated or turn off the noise. Things like certain people we know. Ryan O'Reilly's one of them. Cannot play in Toronto. They just don't want to.
Hold on, could he not play in Toronto, or could he not play in Toronto for that coach?
No, he didn't want to play in Toronto.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, he had nothing but good things to say about the room and the guys.
That's not true. That is fundamentally not true.
What did he say then?
He absolutely said he was appalled by the fact, him and Luke Shen, when they both came to the team, that when they went on the road in the playoffs, there were no organized team outings. There was no team dinners. Everybody went off in their silos. And Luke Shen and him were the ones that organized everything when they were on the road. That's absolute fact. That's not the sign of a guy who's coming into a room where he says, "Oh, this is great. Everything's fantastic." Not at all.
Yeah. No, he didn't like the buzz.
That's a stand.
You know what? There could have been some.
Sorry, Johnny's frozen up again. So, like when I look at guys like who's coming in now. Actually, John, I don't even know if you can hear me or not, but here's an interesting split on the idea of guys who know their role and where they fit in, and guys that don't. And you look at somebody like Liljegren, who hasn't quite been able to adapt or jump back in, and as you've said quite correctly, have an identity. And then you look at a guy like Max Pacioretty. Max Pacioretty is a guy who absolutely knows how to score goals. He knows how to be able to be the guy in the right spot at the right time. He also understands that he is not a guy who is going to be in the lineup necessarily every night. He's battled injury for a long period of time. He's a player who, when healthy, is an absolute asset to anybody on the ice. Whether it was in Vegas or whether it was in Montreal, Pacioretty's proven that he can put the puck in the net just about whenever it's needed. And I'm watching him play that last game. Oh, Johnny's back. Okay. Johnny, I was just highlighting that the difference between a player like Liljegren, who, like you said, doesn't have an identity, and a guy like Pacioretty, who knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Who last night, Pacioretty played his best game of the season last night. I don't know, and I'm going to be honest here. I don't know that long-term Pacioretty, Nylander, and Tavares is a good idea. I don't feel good about that. That line to me is slow as molasses in January, and against a team that skates is going to get left in the dust. However,
Winnipeg can't skate.
Winnipeg chose not to skate last night for the first 28 minutes of that game.
I think Toronto put them in that position. By the way, they played real well coming out. And
listen, I can listen to that.
Going to react, right? I agree with you. Is that the long term? Probably not. I still like JT on the third, there's ways that they can move this around, but I'd run it right now until the cows come home if they play like that.
Listen, if they play like that,
underestimate Max Pacioretty's strength and his size and the way he uses his body.
In front of
And
the
he's
net.
never been known as a physical guy, but he's a physical guy. He withstands a lot, right? And puts himself into positions that he's going to take a hit to make a play. And he I think he's been fantastic. And he went through some adversity, got yanked out of the lineup, benched for a couple games, right? A lot of veterans wouldn't take that real well. He came back in and said, yeah,
But John, there's a difference between, similar to what we were speaking about earlier, between a Robertson and a Liljegren, and guys who are fine, like don't have their. Max Pacioretty knows who Max Pacioretty is. He knows what he can do. He knows where to go. If his body can hold up, Max Pacioretty is a great hockey player. Yep. Full stop, period. Right? Like full stop. Max Pacioretty knows what he's doing. I like the signing. I also like listening to people when they talk and say, there's a guy who came in on a pro tryout who didn't know if he was Max Pacioretty was making this team from the second he said to Brad Treliving, if I show up, I'm in, right?
They were thrilled to get him.
Absolutely twice on Sunday. So let's talk about this then, while we're on the Max Pacioretty topic, because if you're a Leaf fan, the one thing that's brought you consternation is watching us on the power play. I think we're clicking at 10% so far this year. It's been a disaster of epic proportions. We finally, on Saturday night, got a change. We got Pacioretty and Matthew Nyes up front. And we moved Johnny Hockey and Willie Stiles to the second unit. Early returns. I like seeing Nyes in front of the net.
Johnny Hockey. He's not
Okay.
Johnny Hockey.
You're right. And you know what? I apologize. I went to say Johnny Toronto. We were talking about Columbus earlier. I had that in my head.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Johnny Hockey. I meant to say Johnny Toronto. But Johnny Toronto moved down to the second line. We all know I love Johnny Hockey. Rest in peace, Johnny. Yeah. But early returns, I like the idea of like for, with Berube, what I like more so than anything is that we're making changes. We're trying things that are different, right? For like last year, it was just like, let's run the same thing over and over and over again. And sooner or later, our best guys are better than their best guys. And sooner or later, our guys are going to score. Mm-hmm. I like that we're changing stuff up. However, as a point of me being a little bit critical, Marc Savard running the power play. When he was in Calgary, he was in charge of running the power play. And their power play wasn't very good. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Marc Savard as a player. Marc Savard as a player was elite. Guy could pass the puck, knew what he was doing on the ice. Marc Savard as a coach running power play units, the track record is not good, and the early returns here are even worse.
Yeah. I mean, assistant coaches are and for our listeners, the way a coaching staff works here. Marc Savard, honestly, head coaches in most levels are control freaks. They have a hand on everything. Okay, football's a little different than hockey, where hockey is so, prior to even hiring Marc Savard and having meetings or looking at what they were going to do, Craig Berube is gonna indicate or dictate what kind of a scheme on the power play, on the PK, on just coverages in all three zones. That's his job, right? So he gets a guy like Marc Savard, and he says, "This is what I want," right? And Marc is supposed to go out and coach it. I'm not a big believer in special teams, draw up a play at the end of the game, that kind of stuff. Run a couple drills in practice to work on something that maybe you're missing in the game before, or you see in the opponent that's coming up. But the players, I said it earlier, John, right? There's about 3 or 4 power play schemes that you need to be able to execute, and no more than that, maybe less. And you've got some of the most talented offensive players in the world. Like back when I played, and I didn't play in the NHL, obviously, but played a half decent level, we very rarely practiced the power play, right? You put your best 5 guys out there, and we knew, okay, we're going to, who's going to be the bumper, who's going to be on the wall, who's, you know what I mean? Or if we were doing a different scheme, we would load one side and have a backdoor guy, right? You talk about it on the bench between each other. And that's what the players do.
So
right?
let's
you see them talking and whispering going into a face-off. This isn't like, oh, Mark Savard just whispered in Austin's ear that they're going to do the flying V. It's not like that.
Flying V.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's frustrating.
How long
these guys should be able to?
But listen,
based on skill and instinct and experience, execute a power play without any coach, whether it's the head coach or an assistant coach.
So what do you do then?
10% with this group, unacceptable. I put it on the group. They're not doing anything that he's not.
So let's talk. But hold on. So let's talk about it then, because what do you do if you're Berube, if you're Savard, and you have an example? And I'm going to come back to the Boston game, to the leading scorer of the Maple Leafs, who has a wide open net on the power play. Absolutely. It's a goal. All you've got to do is push the puck towards the net. And he doesn't look at the net, and he passes.
Yeah. Like,
at what point do you keep rolling the same thing out? Why?
They didn't. They just changed it. You just said it yourself.
Well, no.
That's what you got to do. You know what? If you want to wake the guys up, and I've done it as a coach. If my best 5 guys,
you know who's still on that line? You know who's still on that first power play? The guy who didn't shoot the puck.
Move things around till you find. Yes, it's not him. It's not him.
It kind of was on that play.
It's just that one. Okay, so he could have had an empty netter, right? That's not that. What would that make them? 11%. That could have made 11%.
You know what that empty net goal did? That empty net goal would have won them the game.
Yeah.
2 points is 2 points. I don't.
Yeah.
So and listen,
you know what? They're doing the only thing that they can do is move stuff around, and maybe Mitch is next. I don't know. I'm not in Craig Berube's head, but as a coach at different levels over my coaching career, I have literally taken my best 5 guys off the ice and put my 5 grinding stone hands, couldn't
sit him down and give him a lesson.
Hit water if they fell out of a boat kind of guys, and I put them on there and cross the net and let's get something going. And then eventually, they're going to be 10% too pretty quick. And then you go back to your guys, right? Sometimes not having that opportunity or the group. So, they're looking at it more like let's have 2. We're 10% with our best guys out there, right?
So what difference does it make?
Why not spread them out and have 2 lines? And you know what? Maybe tonight Willie and JT's group is starting. That's the other thing that they do is stop making it automatic. And sometimes I think
I agree.
This goes back, to the Keefe and even Babcock, even before that. Don't make it automatic, right? A lot of times there's a commercial before a power play starts, right? But it's still, to me, not automatic that you put that. I like to look at who just played. I like to look at who's been going, right? I could have a 4th liner that's going, right? I always would tell the guys, right? I'll mix it up. If I get somebody that's going, he's gonna get into some situations. If you're not going, you're gonna be pulled out of some situations. So as a coach, all of a sudden you might see who's the
Bobby
young kid?
McMatthews.
Lawrence, right? The way he plays sometimes in front of the net, and he doesn't have bad mitts. So it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put, and I could see Chief doing that. Hey, Lawrence, you're going out in front of the net on number one power play. Right?
Nobody's got a problem with that. I agree.
Right. I think you're going to see that. You're already seeing it. So it's good. It's an improvement from the last tenure or the last regime because he didn't ever stray from that, right? So Chief is going to do it. He's going to make changes, and he'll keep doing it until it works. This power play should be top 3 in the league,
bar none.
For a joke,
bar none.
For a joke, it should be automatic.
I do think it's interesting that we opened the show tonight talking about the savior passing up the donut to give up the game and saying if the roles were reversed, Mitch Marner would be run out of town.
Yeah.
But yet we have an example that is a concrete example of Mitch Marner again, not shooting the puck.
Stop talking about one play.
But John, that's a microcosm. That's a microcosm of a bigger
game.
Hold on. Do you mean? Hold on. Let me ask you this question. Since your question is one goal for Mitch Marner in 9 games acceptable?
You'd want to see him get on it.
That's a reasonable question. He's making $11 million. Yeah. Is one goal in 9 games?
It's acceptable. You know what? They're not 0-8.
That's a problem.
They're not 0-10.
No, but that doesn't matter, John. Your best player cannot have one goal in 9 games.
This is where you get frustrating, John, because you're pigeonhole and you're thinking about one thing, and he missed that. He needs to be benched. He needs to be traded. No.
Hold on. So you're okay with Mitch Marner scoring one goal in 9 games?
Yes.
That's all. Okay. Then you're okay with it.
Fine with it.
I'm not okay with it.
Totally.
I'm not okay with that.
Because I know he's going to end up with 25 and 95 points. Right? It's going to happen. That's the way it is. It's not. Zach Hyman's got 1 point.
Well, that's a whole other.
Best player in the world.
That's a whole other comment. Zach Hyman's also making 5.5 million.
Yeah.
Zach Hyman's making 5.5, not 11.
If his deal was up, he'd be at 11. If he was up after last year, he'd be probably 12.
Yeah, he'd be getting Reinhardt money. He would be. Yeah, that's fair.
So anyway,
hold on. Before we get it,
I'm fine with Marner. I think that line's playing well when they get the cycle going down low against anybody, and they played some pretty good defensive cores here over the last couple of weeks. They are Nyes is coming into his own.
Nyes has been great.
Some of the passes that Marner has made you have to stop and rewind it and go, holy shit. That's
but shoot the puck.
Yeah, well, he doesn't always have to shoot the puck. He's got the best goal scorer in the world on his line. So I can understand why somebody might want to dish it a little bit more. Anyway, be a little bit more patient with him.
Okay, so
fine.
I will do my best to be more patient with him. While we're talking contracts, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Jake McCabe re-signing. Regardless of whether or not you think Jake McCabe is an all-star defenseman or not, I think this is an absolutely fantastic contract.
It's a good number.
And for once, it doesn't appear that the Leafs have overpaid. In fact, it looks like the Leafs got a bit of a deal on it. And then when you start talking about deferred money helping the salary cap, it's even better.
Yeah. He likes it here. He's comfortable. He fits in. He's going to be there. He's,
full marks across the board. Do we have any concerns at all? And I'm just asking, do we have any concerns about the fact that Morgan Rielly is going to be mid-30s, Jake McCabe is going to be mid-30s, OEL is going to be mid-30s, and Tanev is father time?
I think all of them are great for this year and next, and then you're going to start to see father time step in, and you're going to lose a step or that kind of thing. But they got to win now.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. All right. So we're good. We're good for now.
We're good for 2 years with this core. Absolutely. This year, next year, great. Then you're talking into, you're going to lose Matthews in a year, and you don't know. I don't think you will now, but
he's not going to Utah now.
They can recycle them. They got a couple of good defensemen. The Ranford kid, Danford kid in Oshawa is a real good stay at home. He's not going to put up a ton of numbers, but he's in the pipeline. They've got some kids coming through, and then there's always free agency and trade options that are going to be out there. But I don't mind this core. I still think something else is coming. I've said it since
the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
who I want to give love to though? How about OEL? OEL,
he's been great,
dude. Yeah. What is not to love about that? That's been a great signing. Him and if we're going to be honest, Chris Tanev's been fantastic.
Just as you knew what you were going to get. He's still advertised. He'll block shots. He'll hit. He'll fight if he has to. He's he's fine. He's fine.
You know who I think the best sixth defenseman is that we could get right now to pair with Benoit? You're going to laugh when I say it. He's been here twice already. You know I love him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Where is he, in Anaheim now?
I think so. Yeah. You're going to tell me he wouldn't look great on the back end?
No, and they probably will at the deadline.
Like I'm telling you, I love Lyubushkin. I think he's exactly the guy that we've needed all the way along, and we keep letting him go. I don't get it.
What's going on with Georgiev? It's making me crazy because the two goalies that I picked in my family pool were Georgiev and Skinner.
Well,
Georgiev and Skinner.
I can't listen. You pick Stuart Skinner. I don't have any sympathy for you.
Well, I just thought Edmonton would win games coming off. I don't like Edmonton. I don't like anything about Edmonton. But I'm looking at it from a logistics point, and I said, okay, they're gonna win.
The math says you should have done better on this deal.
Jack picked Hellebuck and Shesterkin, and he gets those two.
So listen, right? And the one thing that I want to say, and I said this in the group chat last night, and I took a lot of heat when I put up my top 50 and Hellebuck wasn't on the list. And I've said for as long as I can remember, Connor Hellebuck is Aaron Rodgers. He is Kevin Durant. He is a guy who, when it does not matter, will play out of his mind and be fantastic. But when there's pressure and it's a big game, Connor Hellebuck does what Connor Hellebuck does. 0-6 in his last 6 games against the Leafs. Playoff run after playoff run. It's a 7-goal, 8-goal give-up game. I don't trust the guy. Is he a great goalie? I'm sure he is. I'm just saying he's that guy. He's the guy who, when there's no pressure on, that's the guy you want. When the heat gets dialed up, nah, no chance.
He'd be top 3 in my opinion, and if he was available, I would try to find a way to acquire a guy like that.
You wouldn't win. And you wouldn't win. That's the difference, right?
He's brought some pretty mediocre Winnipeg lineups into the playoffs and into some real good seasons. Not great teams. I mean, their best players were Wheeler and Scheifele, and they were winning divisions and things like that because of Connor Hellebuck. So
and then when Connor Hellebuck
some team and he let them down in the playoffs, and this team was unreal. We're not talking about.
So just to be clear, I just want to be clear because you just made my point. He brought average teams who weren't very good with no pressure to a good spot. And when the pressure got dialed up, what did he do?
Oh, it's when what did
he do?
Putting it all on him. You're saying that the team did nothing wrong and Connor Hellebuck lost these series.
Hold on. You don't get to say you're the guy. You're the guy when it doesn't matter. But when it does matter, you're not the guy. Then it's a team game, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Does not work like
that. in the bubble year, right? He took them as far as he could possibly take the group that he had. As far. I mean,
he took it to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, that's what I'm saying. right?
But he also won world championships and gold medals. What are we talking about here?
Well, how about because he got to play there yet? He's going to be there that next time. Not for Canada. He's American, isn't he?
He is American, yeah.
Yeah. No, I like. You know what? I think I don't think he's ever been on a good team. That's the long and short of it. Speaking of another goalie, real cool story. So Fleury's playing in Pittsburgh tonight for the last time, right? Marc-Andre. He has practice yesterday, so it's off day. They have a practice in Minnesota's practice in Pittsburgh, and Marc-Andre stays on the ice after practice because there's a local Pee Wee team, Pittsburgh Junior Penguin Pee Wee team. They were practicing at the same facility. And Marc-Andre stayed out in practice with the Pee Wee team after his team practice.
How awesome is that? What a great dude.
Yeah.
What a great
dude. He's one of those guys that, he's a good guy and
Well, hold on. He's not that good because he could have come to Toronto and said he didn't want to come. So hold on. It's a Leaf show. I'm out on Marc-Andre Fleury. I've changed my whole mind.
Yeah, I know he's one of the good guys in the sport. And another funny thing happened. So Billy Guerin, of course, who's the GM of Minnesota, and he played with Sid at the beginning of Sid's career in Pittsburgh. So, Billy was a wily old vet by then.
Underrated player too, Johnny.
That's good. Yeah, real good player. But he said something. Sydney was in the meeting with the press, and Billy walked in, and I don't know what he said to him, but kind of beaked him, and he, don't score tonight, or did you, something? I forget what it was, and Sid kind of chuckled and was like, "What are you doing here?" or something. Who let you in, or something to that effect. So you like to see those kind of things, 100%. And when you see the human side of players, and
Johnny, there's one thing, and I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, but if you've never been around NHL players or NHL guys, out of whether you're a basketball fan, baseball fan, football fan, if you're around media or anybody that's involved in pro sports, everyone will tell you NHL players, different breed. Best guys going.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been the case. But there's other sports too. I mean, I've always liked basketball, baseball, basketball, football. Kind of I'll watch it in the playoffs, or maybe a stretch to get into the playoffs when the games are exciting. But what I'll do is I've been watching a lot of Shaq, Charles Barkley, right, and then the Kobe and Michael kind of stories about their just obsession with getting better and winning. And Charles Barkley might be a good athlete, right? So and he's a great guy, and the way he presents himself and stuff. But looking back at some of the old tape and the way he just, and then the self-deprecating side of him that'll make fun of himself and that kind of thing. Like he's just a pleasure to watch. If you ever get a chance to watch an interview or something like that, folks definitely do that. So.
No, Charles is great, and if you were not around, if you're younger and you're watching us, Charles Barkley, when he played for the Sixers, a lot of people remember him when he had the run for the Suns at the end and they got to the title and played. Listen, that was older Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, when he was in Philadelphia, was a bad man. Yeah. And if Mike wasn't there to win every title every year until he decided to play,
Charles would have won a couple.
Yeah, like be very clear. Like Charles Barkley he was as good as they come. Like as good as they come, elite.
Well, and tough. Like you want to talk about toughness. Like
nailed.
You see them on the TNT panel. Shaq is twice Charles. Charles Barkley was the big dog. Him and there's a couple other guys around at that time that you were like.
And Beer was tough then, and Moses Malone was there. Like they were, yeah.
But then Shaq comes in, right? Those guys were a little older. Shaq comes in, and he's just like it's. ridiculous.
Shaq,
right?
but Shaq is Shaq is Connor McDavid,
Yeah,
right? Shaq is a once in a generation
yeah,
player, 7'1",
athletic.
when everybody else is really good, but he's 7'1", 300 pounds, and just wants to attack.
Yeah.
You can't stop him.
Well, so Google the clip, listeners, of so Charles punches Shaq in the face in a game. Like something's going
Love
on
it.
down low on a rebound, and he punches him in the face, and then you see Shaq just see red, and he's gonna kill him. Guys get in between them, but Shaq's story, he goes out. I think they got thrown out, and he goes out in the hall, and one of the team people gave him a phone,
And it was
and
his mom.
It's Shaq's mom and Charles' mom on the phone together, and they going, no, we friends, that kind of, you're not doing this. You guys aren't doing this. We're friends. No, right? And then Shaq basically had to go and apologize or shake his hand or something like that because their mothers told them to do that.
It's awesome.
I love it.
Awesome.
So anyway, I could listen to the guy all day. And then the other thing that I've been watching a little bit, and I mentioned it, is the Kobe obsession stuff. I heard one thing today, and we're going to wrap it up soon here.
It's TML Weekly / NBA history.
But this, like Kobe Bryant, I mean, he's next level. The way so somebody asked him, why didn't you go to college? You ever heard this?
I know a couple of different answers to this question.
So that why didn't you go to college? And then, I think if you would have asked me before I saw this clip, I wonder why Kobe didn't go to college. And I would have, because I don't remember that he sat on the bench and he came in and he wasn't an impactful guy for
he was a military brat
years.
too.
Well, Shaq got there, right? Yeah. And anyway, I would have thought, but I still remember him being so good. I don't remember that part of it because of the player that he became. So I would have thought, well, because he just, he wanted to make the money, right? Like all the guys that come out, Garnett and there's LeBron. Why go to college when I know I can step in right now and be an impact player, right? Kobe does. I forget that, like I said, that he was an impact player. That wasn't it.
No.
He was going to go to college. And I think he had one chosen. I think that was in the same. He heard that Michael was retiring. And he didn't want to go to college if it meant not having the chance to play against Michael Jordan. That was his sole decision.
And so I am, and for those people that know me well, there is not a bigger MJ fan than me. I love the man. I think he's anybody that's ever going to entertain him is not the greatest. To me, you don't understand the game in any facet of the game, for that matter.
I would agree.
But when you look at and what I really love about and I love Kobe in my opinion, Kobe's the second best basketball player I've ever seen. LeBron does a lot of great things. LeBron is gifted a lot of things based on the size that he has in the era that he plays. LeBron would be great in any era. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. All I'm telling you is that in today's game, where if you breathe on somebody, it's a foul. In the old school days, it would be a different game. What I love most about Kobe is the reverence that Kobe had for Michael.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it was legitimate.
He would text him at 3:00 in the morning and ask him
about learn. You're so good. That's what I mean. You're so good. I want to know everything that you know. And if I was a player that was even like a 10th of and had that ability, that would be the guy you would want to be around 24 hours a day. Yeah. God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you find out a lot about these guys, and unfortunately with Kobe, he's not with us anymore for sure. But you just gain respect when you hear the things that.
And to me, John, the biggest
he was a
compliment.
prick too. Like he didn't speak.
They all are, but they all are. John.
But neither did Michael. Right.
Listen, Mike. But here's the thing, though: when you are that great, you have to have that expectation that you want everybody to care as much as you do, and it'll never happen, right? Nobody. Like, I don't believe that there's ever been an athlete. Forget a sport, maybe Muhammad Ali, maybe, but outside of Ali, that has ever cared as much and wanted it as bad as MJ did.
That's why hockey's the best sport, though. Okay?
Yeah.
Hockey's the best sport because you hear about guys like you. So when we're talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, two of the top two, I agree with you. But look at other eras. But yeah, top two in my opinion, because of their will to win and just like they're not going to get beat and they go through a brick wall to succeed, and you need that. Okay, but the fact that they weren't good teammates they were great teammates to some guys, but not to others. Right? To me, should have had an opposite effect on the outcomes of maybe some of those championships that they won. But they were so great that they were able to, despite not having that kind of camaraderie. Whereas in hockey, when you hear about guys like Steve Yzerman and Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe, and
you're bringing everybody. You're bringing everybody with you.
It was like tremendous leader. Loved him. He would make the fourth line grinder feel just as special as his right winger.
But
right?
There's the difference.
And they did care because you have that, right? If I've got a superstar player on my team that won't even look at me, and we're sitting beside each other on the bus, from the airport to the rink, and he won't even acknowledge that I'm sitting there. I'm probably not, and I'm sitting on the bench anyway. I'm probably not going to give a shit if we lose in the, like I would if I was, embraced. And it's like, you're a guy like that you probably looked up to towards the end of Kobe and Michael's careers. 100%. The guys that were coming into the league were, oh my God, I'm on a team with Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And then that guy's a prick to you, or he's, like Jordan would bully some of the one guy there. What was his name? There was one guy there.
There was Paxson. He was all over.
No, it wasn't Paxson. It was
Luke Longley.
No,
the Australian
one. No, it wasn't him. But anyway, Barnes. Maybe Barnes. I don't know. Anyway, he was awful to him. Absolutely awful to him.
But listen,
but then the guy still revered him. He was like, yeah, but it was Michael, and whereas if they had gone the other route and helped these kids that are coming in and said, hey, you know what? Come to the gym with me tomorrow morning at 6:00. Nobody needs to know.
A lot of guys wouldn't do it.
Things.
A lot of guys wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I listened to just before we get out of here, I listened to a podcast. Crap, I can't even remember who it was, but they were talking about Kobe, and they were playing it. It was Fox. I can't remember what his first name is. Rick Fox. Thank you. Yeah. And so he's on a podcast, and he said he was out with Kobe. They finished a game. They were in New York, and he said, "Kobe, come on, you got to come out with us tonight. We're going to this bar. It's going to be great. Blah 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 blah." And Kobe said, "Listen, if I come out with you tonight, you got to get up with me in the morning." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh yeah, Kobe, no problem." Blah blah blah. And he was like, we went out till 3 a.m, and he was like, Kobe drank with us the entire night. If you were pouring a drink, Kobe was in. No problem at all. 5:30 in the morning, you were at home in bed, you crashed for 2 hours, Kobe's at the door. Okay, we got to hit the gym. And he'd be down there and just pounding, 1,000 shots, and then let's go have something to eat for breakfast. Let's power up. Let's lift some weights, and we'll go back in the gym, do another 1,000. And he was like, I can't go party.
And then go to team practice.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's the difference between guys like that. And that's why guys like that are so revered. And listen, John, that's why they're far and few between. There's mice and men, and those guys are men amongst men. But
before we do our predictions, are the Dodgers going to sweep the Yankees?
Well, as a diehard Yankees fan, this has been a tough series for me to watch. However, if you are a Dodgers fan, I would suggest tonight to call in now, sick tomorrow, because I don't see us putting up much of a fight tonight.
Well, you know what, and I'm not a baseball. I used to be. I like it when the Jays are good, obviously, and there's a buzz about it.
It's good for the city when the Jays are in. I agree.
I'm a lot busier, I think in the summer than I used to be. So I don't watch baseball. I used to watch it every day. I knew everything.
I love baseball. Yeah.
Okay. You know who I'm a fan of? I'm a big Freddie Freeman fan. I've seen some stuff about him. He's Canadian. His parents are both Canadian.
Well, he's American. He's American.
But he plays for Canada. He plays for Canada in the World events because his mom passed away when he was 10 years old. He talked about his pregame and he
sleeves and everything else that he has. I saw that. Yeah,
his mom passed away of melanoma, skin cancer.
Yeah.
So, but I saw a couple interviews with him. I saw another one when he played for Atlanta. And did you ever see the Halloween here this week?
He's great. He's great.
Did you ever see the trick or treat video?
No.
So Freddie Freeman is he played for Atlanta, and he was out with his kids trick or treating, right? And he sees this kid is wearing a Freddie Freeman uniform.
Love it.
Google it.
Love it.
So he walks up to the kid and he goes, "Hey, are you me?" And the kid looks at him and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, that's my baseball number and that's my name." And he looks at him. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You want a picture?" And he kind of posed.
That's awesome.
He was out with his kids trick or treating, right?
I mean, it's awesome.
And he's got a home run every game, hasn't he?
5 games in a row. He tied George Springer.
Yeah, good for him. No, I think, you know what? It'll be nice. And you know what? The greatest baseball player of all time is.
That's a bold statement, man. It's a bold statement. It's hard to argue, but it's a bold statement.
I mean, when he starts pitching again, if he goes back to the dominance, it's going to be hard. I mean,
he's a modern day Babe Ruth is what he is.
Right. And Babe Ruth's the greatest player of all time. And if this guy can sustain this for 5 or 8, 10 more years, it's over.
Listen, so as a Yankees fan, it's been a tough watch. Aaron Judge has had a tough run, but
did I see something about him and alleged PEDs, or was that one of those AI hoaxes?
No, that was an AI hoax. There's never. Aaron Judge is 763 feet tall.
Yeah,
like the last thing that guy needs to worry about is juice to get out of a stadium.
That's this AI shit, and half the stories that you read, you have to question now, and it's getting silly. And then the scammers on the internet that are, they're posting links and they can get your banking info and shit. It's got to end.
Leaf fans, be wary. Come to TML Weekly. We'll set you straight. Go Leafs, go.
Okay, so we got 3 games. Seattle at home. I think that's Thursday.
Yeah.
And then at St. Louis Saturday and at Mini Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
I think at this point, after the Winnipeg effort, I think you win all 3 of these games.
Johnny, I'm gonna shock the world and agree with you.
Yeah.
I think we're taking win all. I think we're taking 3 in a row here.
Yeah, I think those are 3 very winnable games. I think it'll be good to get out on the road here.
You're gonna see a Maple Leafs team that is significantly different than you saw against St. Louis a couple 10 days ago. You're gonna see. Yeah. I feel very comfortable in saying that you're gonna see a different team. We're gonna be Leaf fans. I'm just telling you, relax. Everything is okay. Yeah. Everything is okay. Everybody's got to relax.
All right, we'll be back with Nolan next week. You know what?
We hope he's going to be back. Who knows? He could be in Santa Monica, Australia. Who knows where Nolan could be?
All over the place. All
All
right.
right, everybody. Go Leafs, go.
Thanks to Bjorn and Don Cherries, and we'll see you next Tuesday.